You know, we're in an exciting time of transformation. And if you don't realize what that transformation is like, we have to look back as to what has happened in the last 10, 20, 30, 100 years. You know, Halloween just happened, so I'm going to share some scary stories with you. You know this company? You know, in 1999, they went public. They were valued at $4.7 billion. And at around the same time, there was this one guy named Reed Hastings. He got fed up with late fees. He got fed up with driving to the store to get his movies. So he decided to launch a company called Netflix around the same time. Now, in 2004, Blockbuster, at its peak, had 9,000 stores and 60,000 employees. They're indestructible. Technology was evolving. The web was coming to fruition. So Blockbuster introduced online movies as well. I don't know if you remember that time, but I paid $25 to get my DVDs in the mail and watch online streaming. It's cool. The CEO in 2007 decided, you know what? The bandwidth is not good enough for Blu-ray technologies. So what we're going to do, we're going to open a couple more thousand stores. We're going to shift our investment in online to brick and mortar. Because that's the future of high-quality movie watching. And guess what? In 2010, they filed bankruptcy. In 2011, they're now acquired by Dish Network. Blockbuster is still around, but it's not the Blockbuster that we knew. Shift just happened. Right? Now, some of you may be thinking, well, Dust, this is only true with technology companies. I mean, yeah, you could go on and on. I mean, look at AOL, look at Netscape. But this is not really true in the last 100 years or so, this shift. I beg to differ. Because if you think about, let's go back 100 years. Anybody remember this company called Bethlehem Steel? Anybody? You weren't born yet? Bethlehem Steel was the second largest steel manufacturer in this country. In fact, it built this country. It's been around for 100 years. Indestructible. Mega organization. And then what happened? 2001, they filed bankruptcy. In 2003, they were sold to the International Steel Group, and I don't know how much of it still remains today. What just happened? Shift happens. You see, if you're wondering why there's a trend, there's iteration of these events, why don't we learn from these events? I mean, in 1995, Fortune 500 companies that were around then, that wasn't too long ago, only 50% of those companies are alive today. See, the problem, friends, is that organizations and companies were designed to be stable. Organizations were designed not to move. So when disruptions happened, they died. Now, do you want this to happen in your organization? Anybody? You want this to happen in your world? Hello?
No.
No! Freaking no! If you don't want industry disruptions to shift you, then here's the tall order, friends. Are you ready to shift or disrupt yourself? To get ahead of the disruption? And that's the problem that we face today. In 2013, organizations are still stuck in this motto. We have to be stable. You can't be too risky. We have to follow the marching order. And if you're wondering where that came about, it came about back in the Industrial Revolution. For good reasons. Back then, it was the idea of mass production around services and products. How do we do things faster, better, cheaper? So, what happened? Systems were put in place. Structures were put in place. Processes were put in place, right? Hierarchy were put in place, which resulted to silos. And that's still the world we live in. Y'all with me? Forgive my heavy southern accent. I come from the deep south, Southeast Asia, Manila, Philippines. Shift happens. And here's the challenge, friends. We all talk about enterprise social. Yammer is great. SharePoint is great, but there's a big disconnect. At the end of the day, forgive me, anybody working Yammer? Okay, I can say it. forgive me, but Yammer is just a tool. If you throw a tool and expect shift to happen, you suck. Right? You see, back then, technology weren't there yet, so during the Industrial Revolution, they didn't have a choice but to put this in place. But what they put in place doesn't allow for agility. It doesn't allow for innovation. It doesn't allow for adaptability. And that takes us to today. We're stuck in that mold, but whether you like it or not, we're living in a new revolution. You like it or not, the next revolution is here. I mean, who works at IT here? Who works for IT organizations? A lot of us, yeah? How many of you in your organization, this BYOD is just a pain in the neck, right? Now, who's the first suspect here? When iPads first came out, who needed their iPad to hook up with a VPN? Execs, yes? They're check writers. How can you say no? If marketing can't get what they want today, what do? They sign up with Box. They sign up with Google Drive, right? IT's too slow. That's the world we live in. The world we live in is so fast. Who would have thought a guy putting out a video in July 2012 in YouTube, 6 months later becomes the most watched video ever on YouTube, and that guy made $8 million just off of that one video on YouTube. I'm not sour graping here. I wish this video would do that. By the way, this whole session is being recorded, so I want you to watch this intently. And we're live, by the way. Hey, friends, thank you for watching. That one person. We're also in this age of doing more with less. I don't have to expound further. We're asked to do more with less resources. And then this big thing called social throws a wrench on everything. A lot of us have wrong understanding or a misconception around the value of social. I live and work in DC. I work with a lot of large organizations, C-level folks, and when the word social comes out, oh, we don't need no social. I don't want no pictures of cats in our intranet. That's a problem. But there's a lot of value in social. And that's where the technology has caught up on how we humans engage. Let me give you a little history lesson here. You see, why social is so big has nothing to do with the technology. It has a lot to do with our human nature. We love to interact. We love to connect. We love to engage. We love to belong in a community. Let me ask you this. In your personal life, be honest. Do you still use email to talk to your friends, family on a regular basis? No. Are you sure you're in the right session? No. I use my email for my bill alerts. Or Groupon. Right? We interact with friends, family through Facebook. And it's not a structured way, if you may. I follow people I like. I watch their holiday pictures, like last Halloween, a lot of good stuff. I did trick-or-treating with my kids. Johan's 8, Danica's 3. I took a picture. At the moment I took a picture and posted on Facebook, 5 seconds later, 10 likes. Right? That's the power of social. The problem is, we get that in our personal life, but when we translate it to how we work, you know what the number one collaboration tool is today, 2013, in enterprises? Tell me. Email. A 1973 freaking technology that was developed, not intended to do what we're using it for today. You know, when email first came out, it's more like Twitter. That was the thing, short messages. 255 characters. And then we're using it today for the wrong reasons. I'm not saying email is bad. Email has its place. But to what we're doing today, to better engage, to better deliver business value, that's where social comes in. Friends, think about how you interact in your personal life with social tools. What if that mode of interaction and engagement can be translated to work? That's the power of enterprise social. It's not about checking in that you just had a great meal. It's not about posting pictures of cats, but it's about delivering business value. Here is a great definition of enterprise social tools that sits above everybody else. So what I want you to do is read this with me, please, loud, and we'll talk about this further. So 1, 2, 3. Enterprise social, loud, is an important method for enhancing communication, coordination, and collaboration for business purposes. A few months ago, I was advising an 80,000 people organization, global organization, and I was working as an advisor for their upgrade to 2013 SharePoint. And they're like, Docs, what do you think? Here's what we're going to do. When we do the upgrade, we're going to turn on all the social features. Everybody will get my news feeds. We'll turn on the wikis. People can like and follow. I go, ooh. Why? Just like you, they're quiet. Which makes me insecure as an immigrant to this country that my English is not good enough. So I asked my second question. Okay. And they laughed. What do you mean, Docs? I go, why do you want this social stuff? News feed, follow, likes. What's up with that? Isn't that the new thing? You're an MVP. You should know better. Microsoft's pimping it, right? The business says they want social. What does that mean to Miss Sally in accounting, who's processing expense reports every single month for 1,000 projects? Tell me, can you link that? Oh. If you cannot answer that fundamental question to enhance communication, coordination, and collaboration for business purposes, stop. Y'all with me? I get you, Docs. I feel you, but I can't picture it. Can you give me a vision of what this may look like? All right, let me show you this video.
History has taught us that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That working together, we are able to accomplish more than we could ever accomplish on our own. That when great minds come together, anything is possible. So we are reinventing the way people work together. We are making it easier than ever before to share ideas, discover connections, ask questions, find answers. Stay in sync. Organize information. And build the team that takes an idea and makes it a reality. SharePoint, the new way to work together.
And that's enterprise social. Hopefully from that one video alone, you got the picture. It's a holistic view. The guy walking his dog. Well, why all these corporate videos start with a guy walking a dog? Huh? Unless you work like at Google or maybe Yammer, you don't really bring your dog to work. Where was I? Oh, okay. So the guy walking a dog, he used his phone, BYOD, took a picture, boom, went into the social platform, Yammer, somehow surfaced in SharePoint, which you'll learn more about today. There's a lot of great Yammer SharePoint integration sessions. And somebody from the outset saw it and knows, oh, there's this other guy working on it. Wow, that's a great idea. And he got work. And you see where that's going? Not that a situation like that won't happen without social, but it's going to take more time, maybe lost opportunities. There's a lot of value around engagement, how people interact. It's not just serial in an email fashion, or maybe paper from one desk to the other. The value it brings around collaboration, right? We use the word collaboration loosely, but what does that mean? Unfortunately, today people think of collaboration as sending files back and forth, right? But it's more to that. The value around agility. How fast can we solve problems, deliver value not only internally, but to our customers, and last but not the least, the connectedness that we get, which we've never seen before. That's the value of social. You see, the idea is you gotta love when shift happens. If you don't anticipate shift and be complacent, you will be the next Blockbuster. You will be the next Bethlehem Steel. You will be the next... Is AOL still around? Yeah, they're still around. Netscape. Right? Shift happens. Is shift fun? No. Is it easy? No. But it's worth it. The idea now is we're going to move from our existing model of silos, of hierarchy. And I'm not saying we're going to kill it, don't get me wrong, but we got to be open to evolve and be connected in all aspects. Not just technology, people, and how we engage. The idea is we want to drive towards purposeful collaboration. Can you repeat that with me? 1, 2, 3. Purposeful collaboration. A CIO was talking to me. They're going to pilot Yammer. They're like, but that's what's, we threw it out there and people start posting stuff. A lot of content, but they're just talking about how the Red Sox was so cool. Because we were watching our analytics, it spiked the day after Red Sox won. I thought, wow, a lot of engagement. And they looked at the conversation thread, the messages, the likes the day after. It's all about Red Sox. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a company who does betting, that's good conversation. But if it's some water cooler, irrelevant talk, I'm not saying it's wrong, but if it's all about that, it's not purposeful. In the day and age of big data, friends, content is not king. In today's day and age, context is king. You follow me? So don't be misled by saying, we'll throw this out there, if people use it, woohoo, there's value. Is it purposeful? So how do you make all this work, docs? I mean, I get you now, I hear about the value, I understand we have to shift the way we do things, but how do we execute? How do we make this happen? So in the remaining time that I have, I'm going to share 4 important steps that you can get started with. And these are practical, experiential from the work that I do in my organization, and it's doable. First step, you have to secure stakeholder buy-in. Not just stakeholders writing the check saying, yeah, let's buy Yammer, or let's do an EA and get the whole thing and throw it out there. Because if that's the kind of stakeholder you have or you are, guess what? Not going to work. This is a research done by Gartner. 80% of social business efforts will not achieve the benefits due to inadequate leadership and an overemphasis on technology. I gotta have them newsfeed. I gotta have them likes. I gotta have them follows. ¿Por qué? Por favor. You gotta secure the buy-in from a perspective of what's in it for us. It's all about business value. So, just like the Fight Club, what's the first rule in the Fight Club? When you want to pitch the value of social to your check writers, don't talk about social. Don't talk about Yammer. Don't talk about SharePoint. Talk about what you're working on as an organization. What's your strategy? What's your goal? What's our fiscal year looking like? What are some of the initiatives we can work on? Strategically, tactically, talk around that. I know a lot of us IT folks, it's so hard. I'm guilty of this too, because we get excited with the bright, shiny objects. Ooh, ooh, did you see that new feature in Yammer? Boss dashboards, Power View, Power BI. Because you know how that works, right? You show your boss dashboards, you get promoted the next day. That's like secret to career success. One word, dashboard. Right? You don't do that. You know, Nationwide Insurance. It's a big Yammer organization, SharePoint organization. I love the stories that I've heard about how they're utilizing. So there's this one great story, right? Talking about business value. A customer, an insurance customer, you know, insured his RV, did a camping, and lightning struck, hit the RV broke, middle of nowhere. So he picked up his phone and called the person who sold the insurance to him. Because if you're familiar with the insurance industry, you don't necessarily buy insurance directly from the provider. I mean, you could, but there's agents and, you know, whatever. Y'all with me? So he said, hey man, something's happened, I need coverage, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you're not covered with lightning strikes to your RV. Yeah? But the customer didn't give up. He called Nationwide directly, and the customer rep on the other side was very helpful, but with the existing systems that they have, he couldn't find, number one, the guy's insurance policy, number two, anything about RV getting struck by lightning in the middle of nowhere. Y'all with me? He could have easily said, sir, as much as I'd like to help you, let me call you back, or my systems aren't there, blah, 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 blah. What did he do? Right there, while on the call, posted on their Yammer network. Hey guys, you know, something's up, blah, 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 hashtag customer emergency. And if you're familiar with social tools, people can subscribe to hashtags, monitor this and that. In a matter of not even an hour, it was addressed. Not only did they find the clause around lightning strikes, they found his policy, they even sent him money for that inconvenience. What would have took days and maybe weeks before. That's value. Customer was happy, he went out, talked about his experience. Hey, next time you want to get your car insurance, get Nationwide. Y'all with me? That's business value. That's the kind of conversation you want to have, right? And a good way to demonstrate that is to share stories. There's a lot of great stories out there. Talk to Yammer. Yammer is a great network for customers. Yammer Customer Network. Go to their website. Go to their SharePoint website. A lot of great case studies that you can demonstrate. But don't talk about the tool right away. You see, social is about empowering bottom-up organization who's in the trenches so they can act, engage, and help so that people on the top can be more effective in making decisions. You know, another good example, the SharePoint engineering team. For those not familiar, at Microsoft, the product teams are divided into pretty much two big groups. There's the marketing group, which is the public-facing, and then there's the engineering group, the guys who actually build the stuff. Y'all with me? And they have a great story on how to utilize social. So let's hear from them on the value Yammer brings to their group as they develop SharePoint.
So I've been at Microsoft for 17 years. I've been working on SharePoint since 1998, since we started the team. And we've come a really long way, but Yammer is just this fundamental upgrade to how people communicate. And it's really enabled our team to fundamentally upgrade how we communicate with each other.
One of the highlights of using Yammer in our day-to-day work is the way in which Yammer has improved the spec review process for us. The process used to be that we would send out a meeting request, discuss the feature, come to decisions in that meeting, and then that feature would progress all the way through development, while only having a few eyes on it.
Yammer as a tool has really enabled us to bring a lot more people from around the company into our conversations. People we didn't even expect to be able to participate, and we didn't even know who to ask. They'll just jump into conversations, and that's people in marketing, it's people in sales, people in consulting, and people in all of our partner engineering teams around the company.
Communicating in public brings us to better decisions faster. Since we've adopted Yammer, we can communicate more quickly because we don't have to wait for synchronous meetings.
Instead of getting everybody together, with all the scheduling conflicts we had to face before, we can get things done, usually like that same day, just by having a Yammer thread where everybody can participate.
For me, as a PM, one of the specs that I've personally owned required me to come up to speed on a web part that was designed years ago. And what I was able to do with Yammer was to just simply search on the name of the feature, find all the groups that were related to the production and refinement of that web part, and learn about its history and where it's been and how it was made, so that in my refinement, I was able to leverage all that information and not have to have synchronous meetings with the stakeholders to have them get me up to speed. I was able to do that all on my own. And it led to me getting a spec out a lot faster than I otherwise would have been able to do without Yammer.
So it's both good for the team, and I think it's been really good for me. It's been good for the individuals on the team because we get a lot more context. So we just have the information we need to do our jobs most effectively. We can also share way more easily. So it's a lot easier to sort of get credit for the things that you're doing. You get likes, you get responses. People praise each other a lot more often in Yammer. It's really been an amazing tool, I think, for individual empowerment and engagement.
Communications are better in the open, so by moving to Yammer, it helped us get to better designs faster and better communication with our field and better communication with marketing and ultimately better product for customers.
See, what I love about this is Microsoft is not taking Yammer from a lip service perspective. I mean, a lot of you, some of you, or I guess a lot of people I talk to are questioning, apprehensive about Yammer. Yeah, whatever, that's an end user thing. We real IT people, we Visual Studio stuff all the time. We build apps, we deploy sandbox solutions. Yammer, no value. But what I love about Microsoft is you talk about dog fooding. It's not, this is just one group amongst many groups. A lot of great stories. So when you engage with stakeholders, demonstrate the business value, and in the end, what you want to come out with, friends, is you have to be able, collectively with the decision maker, to define the vision. And what defining the vision means is aligning company values to how enterprise social can help. Okay? Give me an example. For example, everybody knows Zappos? You know what their goal statement, mission, vision thing is? Anybody? Has nothing to do with shoes. To deliver the best customer service, bar none. Short, simple, everybody gets it. That's a company vision. Y'all with me? So a few years ago, nasty ice storms, which crippled their warehouse, flights, and warehouse in Tennessee. And the bad weather report says it's going to happen tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. But part of their commitment is to deliver, rain or shine, hail, or the end of the world, you're going to get your stuff when we say you're going to get your stuff. Y'all follow me? Or earlier. So what they do, as soon as that news broke out, the entire organization, not only in the Tennessee warehouse, I think in their Vegas warehouse too, not only the shipping people, HR, IT, operations, accounting went down to the warehouse and helped packing stuff so they can expedite stuff out before the storm comes. I work for HR. My job description says I interview people, give people benefits. Nowhere did it say I'm going to help pack boxes. I work for IT. I'm supposed to keep the systems up, upgrade people's software, make sure the mobile technologies work. Nowhere did in my job description says I'm going to pack boxes. But that's alignment. You see, at the end of the day, your marching order is not keep the systems up. That's what your job description is. Your marching order is whatever the company's marching order is. Deliver customer service bar none. Y'all with me? So how do you do that? I mean, there's different ideas I'm going to throw out there, like business value. Okay, how do you better engage employees, especially now we work across, work from home, across the world. How can we better work together? I mean, how can we innovate better? So you take the business needs and specific business value and strategy that you have and align it to what the technology can support and deliver. That's defining a vision. Is it a one-time exercise? No. It's an iterative exercise. But start with something. Not just let's throw Yammer out there and see how it goes. Not going to work. The second step that you have to do to transform your organization with the power of enterprise social, you execute that vision with a pilot. The idea is, right, you want to get your quick wins right away before you affect everybody in the organization. As we all know, the hardest thing with any initiative is change. This is an actual study. People don't like change. Some reasons they just don't like change, but in a lot of cases, it's an interruption. Do you agree? Right? There's a study made that anytime there's a new change initiative that's introduced, 53% decline in productivity. So to ensure that the change you're going to push is valuable, you want to test it first in a small group. So you do a pilot. Hold on, Docs. Are you saying even if we have the enterprise agreement, we've got Yammer, we've got O365, we don't just throw it out there and see what people do with it? Niet. No. Purposeful collaboration. What does that mean? So after you talk to the check writers, be purposeful, go down to the business and understand a specific use case, a specific need that the enterprise social platform can help. I love this term, purposeful collaboration. It's actually coined by a gentleman named Alan Lipovsky. Sorry if I'm messing up his name, but he's an analyst with Constellation Research Group. He's been heads down on social technologies, the value of social. And he said, we've matured to a point, it's not just about collaboration. It's not just about throwing these tools out. What's the purpose? By the way, all this stuff I'm talking about, all the references and studies, I've been tweeting it as I'm presenting. So if you follow me on Twitter, you get all the references and studies that you may need to help you. That's what purposeful collaboration is about. It's essentially an extension of that Gartner definition about enterprise social. Enterprise collaboration software enables people to create, discover, interact with content, colleagues, and communities that can help get their jobs done. Right? You see, when you do a pilot, you have to map it to a specific business value. And you start with something small, low risk, but high visibility. Go after low-hanging fruits. A lot of us, when we engage in these big technology upgrades, we want to do big. Let's start hooking up our SharePoint 2013 to CRM, Salesforce, SAP, Run DMC. I mean, you could, but that's not low risk, high visibility. That's high risk, low visibility. Start with something small. So, okay, give me an example, Doc. So here's an example I want to show. So one of my passions is in the area of improving project management. So I mentioned earlier, again, for those who just came in, follow me on the Yammer group. I'll give you a copy of that book. That's 80 cents less per copy of my kids' college fund, but that's okay. Project management, project collaboration is a bane of everyone's existence. Whether you like it or not, you work on projects. The 3 top project management tools today are email, network shares, and Excel. I was flabbergasted. I work in DC. I saw this $10 million government project held together by Excel being emailed all over the place. Way to go, taxpayer. But what if you can evolve and improve that, meaning make it more efficient, make it more effective, less cumbersome, less manual, with the social tools that you have? What would that look like? Watch.
Meet my colleague Alex. He and I are working on putting together a presentation for our boss. Thanks to SharePoint 2013, we're able to easily centralize and manage all related artifacts and communications for this project. On a typical day, Alex would start working from home using his Mac. He would check his email from a browser and start work from there. Looks like Alex is reviewing the task for the project, and he has some questions for me about the project. Just by using the browser, he's able to instant message me using technologies like Link. One of the key benefits of SharePoint 2013 is a deep integration with existing tools that we already use, like Microsoft Office, smartphones, and even web-based technologies. So even if I'm out and about, I'm still not at the office yet, I can easily respond to Alex on my phone and update my tasks. The beauty with SharePoint 2013 is that I can continue working with Alex once I get to the office. You just assign me a task on the project site and look at what happens. It automatically shows up on my task list in Microsoft Outlook. Isn't that cool or what? Additionally, within Outlook, I can email the entire team directly using this neat feature called Site Mailbox. The Site Mailbox is available not only in Outlook, but it's the same Site Mailbox that the team can see and interact with directly on the project site. The Site Mailbox also provides visibility to all the documents I have in the project site. So what do you think? Are you excited? I am. This is the new way to work together with SharePoint 2013.
So when you want to demonstrate business value around a pilot, pick things people do day in, day out, meetings, projects, working with external vendors, and more importantly, since change is hard, make sure you utilize familiarity. The problem with technologies today, and SharePoint is guilty of it, I mean, SharePoint is a 12-year-old product. But you know, 80% of organizations worldwide use SharePoint nothing more than a big file dump. That's where files go to die. Why? SharePoint doesn't suck. It's a great tool. But how it's implemented, hey, from now on, I don't want you to send attachments, okay? If you have an attachment, open the browser, go to your SharePoint site, upload it, grab the link, copy it, and pop it on that email and hit send. That's too much change. So how can you shape it so users will be more acceptable? I mean, in that video, Alex likes his Mac. That's cool. I like my Mac too. Get over it. I'm a Mac guy. Sorry, Microsoft. But that's how I work. That's how I roll. I start work at home with my Mac, and that's cool. Because the technology allows for it. He sends an IM in the browser to the PM or his boss or manager, picks up on his phone, updates his task. It's very natural for that person. Because a Mac, a phone, Outlook, Excel, those are natural tools. Y'all with me? Social is the glue that holds everything together. Now, this is that project site, right? So this is that executive presentation project. And part of my project site, I have a project feed. So in fact, that's the Yammer feed that I have. Let me hit refresh. You have 12 new messages. You know, the cool thing is, right? While we're working on this project, I'm delivering the presentation now. I see all the feedback, which is cool. And I'm sure, hey, you guys want the presentation deck, by the way, that I'm showing right now? You want it? Yeah, okay. So with social, I go to my project site. Here's the SPS Chicago Keynote. Because social allows for it, let's post it to the Yammer group. A pop-up comes up. Since that project, the Yammer group is my project feed. Okay, so here is the presentation. Let's type it. Here is SPS Chicago Keynote. Whatever. All right. And let's post it to a specific group. Because if I don't post it to a specific group, it goes to the main feed, which, you know, it's cool, but let's make it go to the group. And I hit post, voila, done. No emails included. You see the value? You see the purpose? What's your purpose? Okay. Now, the goal you want to get to is enterprise social should not be a destination. A lot of organizations today, while not having a purpose, enterprise social is just somewhere they go as an afterthought. Oh, yeah, I got to post on Yammer. Oh, I got to check the SharePoint site. I mean, let me ask you this. When you go to work every morning, what's the first piece of software you open? You can't live without it. Outlook, right? You leave it up on your third monitor. Fourth, okay, give that guy a Surface. Right? Outlook, Excel, Word. We can't live without it. We can't function. But things like SharePoint and maybe Yammer today, it's an afterthought. Oh, I got to go to that SharePoint site. I got to go to that Yammer thing. The only concern we have with SharePoint is how ugly it looks. I don't like how SharePoint looks. Make it look like Ferrari.com. Because we think of it as a destination. You see that? Let me ask you this, friend. Anybody in your company tell you, I don't like how Outlook looks, make it change? I don't like how Excel looks, change it? It's stupid, ducks. So you want to make that shift to see that enterprise social gets my work done faster, better, sooner. And the value with Microsoft's set of tools is it's not just Yammer. You saw that video. Somebody opened their browser, OWA, and then Link, and then SharePoint, and then Yammer. It's a platform. No other company out there has that integrated suite of tools. No one. Not yet. Wait till I start my own. Watch out, Microsoft. Now, so that's the intent. And really, you want to get to is enterprise social is your get your work done platform. Purpose with a vengeance. Yeah? The third step. To transform your organization, friends, you got to get stakeholders bought in with a vision. That's number one. Number two, you do a pilot, demonstrate the value right away to show that this will get my work done around projects. This will get my work done around meetings. This will get my work done around innovation management. And showcase that. And then the next step is to go big. Roll it out enterprise-wide. To do that, you can't do it alone as IT. You got to engage key business groups who are really good at rolling out organization-wide change management initiatives. Corporate communications and HR. They are your best friends. Case in point. I'm going to talk about two companies. There's a company called Van City out in UK. And they realized their intranet is a one-way platform. People go there, a destination. People just look up their benefits, whatever. No value, or not as much value. And they said, we got to change this. When they upgraded to SharePoint 2010, IT worked with the business, and when they pushed this out, they created a little commercial. And in that commercial, they made fun of their old intranet. They said, you know how our old intranet, you can't find stuff, and it's just a bunch of useless information? Well, check out what's coming. It's like a 3-minute video. And they said, you know, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. So, but it got people excited. It's a nice produced video. It's something that IT doesn't typically produce. Right? And then the call to action is, okay, so it's coming next week. Make sure you sign up for classes, learn more about it, blah. Another company called Scana Energy. You know Scana out in the Carolinas? They're a power company. What they did with their upgrade and to push it, to make people like it, they had SharePoint. Their whole concept was extreme makeover. Because they know how people hate SharePoint and all that stuff. They call it ScarePoint. So they launched this campaign, Extreme Makeover. So in the span of 4 weeks, they launched short videos. It's like Ty Pennington, you know. Have you watched that show, Extreme Makeover? So they kind of show the old internet, it sucks, and you know, they had Clippy walking in, but it's so funny, right? And then they build it up. So throughout the week, it's like commercial. It's like TV commercial where they show scenes of behind it, and they even had the IT team and scratching their head, and so it's funny. But then the big launch was they did a company picnic at the parking lot. They got a big rig and a big screen, the whole reveal, Extreme Makeover. So they moved that truck, they moved that trap, the drape came down. Ah! Because corporate communications, human resources, those business groups know how to engage, inspire, motivate, and excite. No offense, IT. You got to identify champions. And when I talk about champions, I'm not talking about site owners, community managers. I mean, they could be. But these are common people who deliver uncommon results. These are your cheerleaders. These are the advocates, because you need them not only to evangelize, but you need them in the trenches to tell you what works, what doesn't, and get that feedback. It's like the Amway model or the Tupperware model. It works. Because if you want to do this well and do this right, unfortunately, IT cannot scale as fast as how enterprise social will scale. And people will have questions. People will need help. These champions will help you. Yammer has a good program and resources for community management. So make sure you check that out. You have to establish scalable support. The support model, while you have a traditional support model, it has to go social as well. You have to provide a way where individuals can help themselves, be it a self-service portal. They can look up how-tos. It could be a great tool like Visual SP. If you haven't seen Visual SP, love that tool for end-user adoption. Check it out. It has a contextual help in the list, in the library. Great for your users. And then they should be able to ask help from the community. I mean, I love this Yammerfall going, right? While I'm doing this, people are talking, interacting, asking questions. And that's the idea. It doesn't have to be Yammer. It could be a discussion board. And then IT is still there to formulate the structure, the processes, but they also take care of the heavy lifting stuff. More complex solutions, break fix. And then through time, if IT finds certain patterns, hey, they keep asking about this workflow, maybe we can package an app in 2013 and then we'll put it back on the self-service portal so the users can help themselves now. Y'all with me? It's agile, it's evolving, and it's scalable. The whole idea of driving effective enterprise social platform, you have to ensure sustainable adoption. Listen, here's our downfall. IT is so good in upgrading technology, rolling it out, and once we roll it out, see ya in 3 years when we do the next upgrade. A lot of times we think of adoption as just training. Adoption equals training. No! Training is part of it, but listen, friends, today onwards, if there's nothing else you remember, 2 things I ask of you to remember. Purposeful collaboration and sustainable adoption. How can you sustain the growth, the adoption? Right? The goal of sustainable adoption is to not only drive excitement. I mean, when I showed that video earlier, that guy walking his dog in the power of social, I saw a lot of faces lit up. Wow, that's cool. That's excitement. But not only should people get excited for no good reason, it should facilitate change. Are we doing better in how we do work? I mean, the SharePoint engineering team, they do better now with spec reviews, right? And lastly, how can you help them mature and grow, empower and assist them to further maximize tools? IT has to put this in place. I just tweeted an article I wrote about this concept. Feel free to look it up on CMS Wire. The essential components of sustainable adoption is threefold. Number 1, training is important, but it has to be contextual. Please, unless you're IT, do not throw your end users to a 4-day power user SharePoint class. No value. Sorry, training company. There are certain people who should take that, but not Miss Betty who's processing invoices in accounting. Y'all with me? Not the project manager whose job is to open coffee shops day in, day out. He couldn't care less about SharePoint or Yammer. It has to be contextual. Okay, project manager, you know how you hate it when you email stuff back and forth and you update 10,000 things, or one thing in 10,000 places? What if you could do this? All you have to do is click here, click there. Around their world. You have to provide scalable support, we talk about it, and then through time, you have to have an ongoing engagement with your organization. What are your change management initiatives? What are the solutions you continuously introduce to drive purposeful collaboration? And then governance. Yeah. Number 4. Is this helpful, y'all? Do you feel the love? The last step to transform your enterprise is to facilitate engagement. You have to gather feedback. You have to. And that's something that we're not good at, measuring ourselves. We throw stuff out there and then whatever. You get feedback, but you don't really do anything with it. Right? You see, part of this new revolution, during the Industrial Revolution, because of hierarchy, because of management structure, we don't really tell our boss, that sucks, boss. It's a no-no. Because as we know, management is about assigning tasks, creating rules. But we need management to step up to be leaders. And leadership is not about creating tasks, it's about setting goals. Leadership is not about being untrusting. Leadership is about expecting accountability. And that's what the social revolution is about. So when you gather feedback, be transparent. Ask what works, what doesn't. Toyota has a great model around this. Back in the day, Toyota in their floor, when they do manufacturing, they have this model called continuous improvement, or Kaizen in Japanese. I know a lot of you know about that. But one of the things they do in the shop floor, they empower the workers to say, hey guys, if you find anything we can improve or anything wrong, and in certain stations, they have a little lever that they pull. And when they pull that lever, stop production. Let's talk about it. Y'all with me? Boy, that's a lot of trust. It's a little scary too, because who would say, you know what, boss, the rule you said or the process you implemented just doesn't work. That takes a lot of trust and transparency. Y'all with me? A lot of you are thinking, well, our organization won't happen. We're so we're so old school, siloed government, that just won't happen. That's cool. See ya, Blockbuster. You can't have it all. I always get that excuse. Oh, it's a culture gap. The young kids, they get social. The old folk or the veterans, they won't use this stuff. That's a lame excuse. I live and work in DC, the most hierarchical place there could be. And one day I was walking out with my customer. I was in one of the large federal agencies. She's one of those persons. She hates new technologies and enterprises, blah, blah, blah. As we walked out, guess what? She fired up her iPhone, started liking on Facebook, downloaded Candy Crush, and started playing. New technology is not an excuse. Drive regular activities. That's why having friends with corporate communications HR have virtual meetings. Like today we have Yammer Fall. Go to Yammer. They have Yam Jam. They have 31 days of Yammer. SharePoint has a great resource called Discover SharePoint. If you haven't checked that out, discoversharepoint.com. A lot of business use cases, ideas. Create your own community of practice in your group. That's the beauty of the SharePoint world, where there's SharePoint Saturday, SharePoint user group. Replicate that model in your organization. And regular communication and tools like Yammer allows for it. Lastly, to facilitate effective engagement, measure success. And measuring success is twofold, friends. The first part is you go back to the business value and the vision that you set up. That's what I get for sleeping 3 hours. But it's cool. Now, you look at that, okay, when we got started, we said we're going to address better collaboration, better employee engagement. Was the internet able to do this? How? So you measure it, you look at it, you can put numbers, right? What was achieved? How is it measured? And then you want to make sure the numbers match, then you look at your analytics. Yammer has a great analytics platform. There's a lot of tools out there too. While some of you the SharePoint analytics might not be enough, there's a lot of tools out there. There's Report Center from AvePoint. There's, I know Web Trends, you can measure SharePoint stuff. But when you look at these analytics, don't take it in its face value. Because if all you look at are these numbers, it's just content. The Red Sox won the other night, that's why there's a spike. Everybody with me? Where's your context? Look at context first and map it to see if it validates it. This is an iterative exercise. Through time, you don't stop. Your first business value might be enhancing collaboration, next, better engagement. You get more commitment from executives. Now you drive more governance, you go on and on. Investing in social platform is a long-term strategy. It's your social revolution strategy. You like it or not, it's here. So, 4 steps on how to transform your enterprise and lead this revolution. Number 1, again, you secure stakeholder buy-in with a strategic vision and be aligned. Number 2, do a pilot. See what works, what doesn't. Get that quick win. Then roll it out enterprise-wide. And then lastly, make sure you have the mechanism in place to sustain it and facilitate engagement. So what do you guys think? Are you ready to lead this revolution? Oh, come on, you can do better, Chicago. I slept 3 hours. Are you ready? Raise your hand. All right, so here's what I want you to do. On the count of 3, I want you to say, #shift happens, okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. #shift happens. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference.